If you want Colts talk all year long, you're in the right place.
Fires upfield into the end zone. It is caught. Jelani Woods, touchdown. He's going to fire upfield. It's broken up. Tipped and intercepted by the Colts.
This is the official Colts Podcast, giving you an updated look at what's new with the Horseshoes.
Colts have it. Interception. 2 seconds left, and the Colts are going to win.
In the Indiana Union Construction Industry radio studio, let's get the podcast started.
Happy holidays, everybody. Welcome to the Week 16 version of the official Colts Podcast. You got the Thursday crew here with you. Thanks for dialing us in on YouTube and the Colts Audio Network, all the normal audio channels. Bill Brooks along, Casey Vallier. I'm Matt Taylor, and a mega game for the Colts. We've been saying that now for about a month here with only 3 games to play. It's the 8-6 Colts, the 6-8 Atlanta Falcons on Christmas Eve down in the ATL. Another huge one for this ball club that has now won 5 of their last 6. A huge one last Saturday with that victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers, kind of exercising some demons, if you will, with that Pittsburgh hex that the Colts were under there with the Steelers. But Merry Christmas, Bill. How are you doing today? Welcome back.
I'm doing well. Merry Christmas to both of you.
Yeah.
I hope you guys are enjoying your time because this is it's a fun season for me. I like the Christmas season, but what's even more fun is talking about the Colts' possibilities getting into the playoffs.
You got multiple seasons going on,
Exactly.
right? The Christmas spirit, the Colts spirit here.
Yes.
So you're dialed in, as is everybody else here. Case Meister, you got Santa's number. Have you been texting the big fella?
We have been back and forth. We've had some ups and downs. That's for sure. We had a lady at the store about a week ago. We had my 2 boys were throwing a bit of a fit in the parking lot, and a lady walked up to my wife and said, "Hey, do you want me to text you Santa's number?" Because they definitely understood what that meant. That's what I've told them. Hey, you know,
They stopped like dead in their tracks?
They stopped dead in there. They were a little worried.
Are you serious, Clark?
They were a little scared. So, you know, we've been back and forth. I think they're gonna be able to figure it out by the time we get there. But it's been up and down. It's been a roller coaster.
Now.
I know, but I think
down to the
we're
wire
right.
here. We're at the 2-minute warning.
I mean, that's the Vallier way, man. That's about how it goes.
We never do anything right the first time.
Exactly.
I can tell you that. Sherry's on the 1s and 2s producing the video. So, Cher, Merry Christmas. Appreciate all that you do. And we got a lot to talk about here today. As we said, we're going to talk about all things Colts and Falcons. Also coming up in just a little bit on this podcast, Trey Sermon. One of those, I called him, he was a part of the trio of the backup 3 Musketeers.
I love it, yeah.
Last Saturday, Trey Sermon, Tyler Goodson, DJ Montgomery. But Trey Sermon fresh off of 17 carries for 88 yards, his highest workload in a game for him since the 2021 season when he was with the San Francisco 49ers. So really good dude. You're going to enjoy that interview coming up in just a few minutes as he's set to join us here on the podcast. But a lot to talk about. We're going to go into a segment as we start off and preview this game on Sunday, guys. I'm calling this segment Something or Nothing, and you guys have to decide, right? Okay. Is it something like, it's a big deal, or that's nothing, we'll move on and kind of deal with it in real time. So, as we said, you know, the Colts are trying to stiff arm all of these teams that are in the mix with them in the AFC. You got 5 teams that are 8-6. Colts are one of those teams. If the playoffs started today, the Colts would be the 7 seed.
Yep.
But then you got the Texans at 8-6, the Bills at 8-6, right behind the Colts. So they're on the outside looking in right now. And the reason why the Colts hold the tiebreakers over those teams, you've got a better conference record than Buffalo, and then a head-to-head win against Houston all the way back in Week 2. Now, that's going to be, you know, something we're going to talk about in a couple weeks in Week 18 when the Colts host the Texans to close out the season. But then you got the Bengals at 8-6, and then here come the Jacksonville Jaguars back to earth, back to reality.
Crazy.
They've lost 3 in a row, and now the AFC South is still in play here as well. And that's crazy to say because I think about 3 weeks ago we said, all right, the only way then for the Colts to make the playoffs was, hey, let's get in a wild card position and let's see what we can do. But the AFC South absolutely still in play for this team for the first time, trying to win the division for the first time since 2014. They play – who do they play? They play Tampa.
Yeah, in
weekend.
Tampa, and that's a huge game for the Buccaneers.
Really maybe without Trevor Lawrence, too. Right. He's in the concussion protocol. So a lot to get into, but we're going to rely on now on that something or nothing concept here. And the first one is speaking of relying on things, relying on the depth. We talked about Michael Pittman Jr. still in the concussion protocol, but he is trending in the right direction, right? He was a limited participant in the walkthrough on Wednesday, which is a really good sign, which means he's cleared some of those hurdles
Initial
along
steps,
the way
yeah.
to get back on the game field. Zach Moss got banged up too, and we talked about those guys stepped up. Montgomery, you had Sermon, you had Tyler Goodson. But Bill, let me ask you this: if the Colts have to play without Pittman, without Zach Moss, we don't know yet about Jonathan Taylor, although things are trending in the right direction for him.
Yeah.
But let me ask you: without Pittman, without Moss, potentially, hypothetically,
Right.
is that something? Or is that nothing considering what you got from Sermon, Goodson, and Montgomery?
I would say personally, I think anytime you lose those guys, you're talking about Taylor, Pittman, Zach Moss, I think it's something. I do think it's something because when you don't have those guys out there, which consists of a lot of the targets, runs that the offense uses as far as Taylor and Pittman. I think you mentioned in here, I think it's Pittman has 30% of the share targets.
Yeah, 30%
targets,
target share. Yeah.
So and when you talk about that, that's a lot. That lets you know how much they are depending on Pittman and how consistent he is out there in the football field. So you have to have guys that – I'm not saying they have to play at that level, but when they have the opportunity to go out there and play, they have to make plays, and they have to have the coaches to put them in a position to make plays according to their talent. So I think it's always important, and it's something when you don't have those guys playing. Now, in saying that, this past week those guys stepped up.
Yeah.
All three of those guys stepped up and did a good job.
They made it look like nothing.
Yeah, they did make it exactly. They made it look like nothing. But it's going to be important for those guys to stay within themselves, not try to do too much out there, but just let the coaches put them in position to make plays. But I still think it is something.
Something or nothing.
I think it's something, especially this time of year, too. I think that's where you want to have your full arsenal, especially down the stretch. So it's definitely something you talk about. I mean, just look at what Michael Pittman has done all year. You don't ever want to go into a game without Pittman because he has accounted and been so reliable for everything offensively. And you throw in a guy like Zach Moss while Jonathan Taylor has missed some time. And Zach Moss has been counted on in both the rushing and the passing game. Yeah. So it's kind of you almost lose a 2 with 1 when you – now, I know I really like what we have seen in kind of the gadgets. I don't want to call him a gadget player, but kind of that role that Tyler Goodson was kind of stepped in before Zach Moss got hurt. We saw him, utilized in the run game after Moss's injury, but you saw that in the passing game, Goodson can kind of pick up that slack. But I think definitely it is something if Zach Moss can't go. And like you said about Jonathan Taylor, we aren't sure. He was a full participant in a walkthrough. But that's the first one of the week. We got to see how that thumb really reacts when you start talking about holding on to the football because that's so important. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out this week. But it's definitely something that those guys can't go.
I'm saying it's nothing.
Wow.
I'm saying it's not. I mean, collectively, I'm saying it's nothing. Maybe.
Okay.
Hopefully, I'm not proven wrong about that. But I was just that impressed.
Oh.
I was just that impressed with Montgomery's
Very
professionalism, his maturity to bounce back after. I mean, You've been there. I mean, I'm sure you've dropped a pass.
I've dropped a number of passes.
Maybe one.
No,
one in your day.
Okay, 3. All right.
I can tell you which ones I dropped. All right, I remember those.
Remember those ones a lot
yes,
more,
I remember those a lot.
But I'm saying I was just really impressed with that was a high leverage moment.
Oh yeah,
the entire crowd is barreling down on you, and you seemingly have the weight of the world on your shoulders after you drop a touchdown pass in a marquee game, standalone window, trying to beat the Steelers at home, like all of that in play, and you're coming in for Michael Pittman Jr. In the blink of an eye, and you drop that pass, and then he comes back on the next drive, 2 catches, one a 34-yarder that set up the score, and then he put the exclamation point on the drive with a 14-yard touchdown, his first career score. And again, I was just really impressed with the backs too, Sermon. And
they ran
Goodson.
so hard.
They did. They ran so. I mean, credit to the offensive line.
Yes.
Yep.
There's no doubt about that.
Exactly.
But I just love that those 3 guys combined for 90 snaps, 215 total yards, and a touchdown. And I talked with Tyler Goodson in the locker room earlier this week, and I asked him, like, dude, how did you get here? Because you were, I mean, all Big Ten player, 1,000-yard rusher at Iowa. Like, what's your story? Like, why? Not trying to pick out a scab too much with him, but it's like, how did you go undrafted? He goes, I have no idea. He goes, it cut me. I have the biggest chip on my shoulder because of that. He goes, on draft weekend, I cried like a baby. I have no idea why I didn't get drafted, but he's letting that fuel his fire. Sure. And last year in Green Bay, he was behind the top 2 backs there. Here he's behind Zach Moss and Jonathan Taylor. And it's just like you just have to wait. You just have to wait. And if you stay around this league long enough, Bill, things are going to break your way, and they did for Tyler Goodson. And you got to be ready when that opportunity comes. That's what I was most impressed with all of those guys, just their professionalism to handle that moment while not getting a lot of reps, if any at all, during practice with the first-team offense.
I agree that when those guys get an opportunity, you have to take advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah.
And as you said, you stay around long enough, you're going to get an opportunity. You just have to be ready when the opportunity presents itself. And those guys, all 3 of them, were ready to go. They played, they performed at a high level in a crucial game, a situation in which the Colts needed to win that game against Pittsburgh, an AFC opponent. And those guys just stepped in. And for Montgomery, to me, it's not just that he dropped the pass, but it was on 4th down.
Yeah.
So you're walking off so you're walking off the field. That is the longest walk after you drop a pass back to your sidelines and going and sit on the bench. And you have to think about it. And the good thing is he bounced right back. Mm-hmm. It's good that Gardner went right back to him.
And
he caught the ball and scored. And that does a lot for a young man's confidence when the quarterback's going to go right back to you after you drop the pass.
And that's one of the things that Gardner said this week was, first thing I told him is, hey, don't worry, the next one's coming right to you. Like that's something there. I mean, you know this, being football guys. I mean,
that's a great feeling as
the
a
ball's
player.
going to find you.
Yeah.
And you just got to be ready. And, I mean, I'm sure he's thought about that play in the back of the end zone 100 times since then, because ultimately he should have had a 2-touchdown game because that ball was right there. So, yeah.
Well, he found the end zone.
Yep.
The Colts won. All is good. All is forgiven, right? As we like to say. But no, I mean, Colts fans getting indoctrinated with, number 27, number 31, and number 2 on your roster. That's what it's all about. All right, let's talk about our next something or nothing here. Let's talk about slow starts, because the Colts, they've allowed 81 points in the first quarter this season. That is the 3rd most opening quarter points in the NFL to date. We know about what happened last Saturday. The Colts got down early 13-0, spotting the Steelers a 2-score lead. Is this something? Because the Colts opposition, Bill, they have scored first in 10 of 15 games in 5 straight. Colts opposition, again, has scored first against the Colts in 5 straight games. So is that something or is it nothing? Because the Colts have rallied back, right? They've won 5 of 6.
Yeah.
They've been able to overcome some of these holes and overcome some adversity, including getting down early on the scoreboard. +2, last week they rallied back and outscored the Steelers 30-0 the rest of the way. So something or nothing there.
Well, it's good that the Colts have been fighters and fight back and get back into the games. But I think it's something. And the reason I say that is if you play with fire too long, eventually you're going to get burned. And I hate to say that, because if it continues, they fought back and they've gotten back into games.
There's no doubt.
Last week they went on a 30-0 run pretty much. They spotted Pittsburgh 13 points. Then the Colts scored 30 points after that. But eventually, if you keep on doing that, there's going to be teams that take advantage of it, and it's going to be hard to play catch-up. So every time you're playing catch-up, you're pretty much limiting yourself on what you can do as far as your scheme, your offensive side of the ball, what you're going to do. You're trying to catch up. You're pretty much going to pass the ball for the most part.
Yeah.
But you need to be able to have your full arsenal available to you. And I think that one of the ways you can do that is play even keel throughout the game, and meaning that hopefully don't let a team get up on you too much. Don't let a team get up on you at all.
Yeah.
And if you can play pretty much even for a while and then take that lead at the end and make them one-dimensional, then I think it's good for the team. So if they keep this up, I hope they stay resilient and fight and come back, but hopefully they don't do it too often, because I think it can bite them in the butt.
I misspoke. We've only played 14 games, so it's been 10 of 14 games, which is, that's an even higher percentage there. Something or nothing, Case.
Right. I think it's something, but I also want to preface it with I know you've done your research, and I hate to but I'd like to see what happened after you score the first win. What is that number? Like, what's that deficit? Like, if it's 7 because they get the ball first and the Colts go down and score 7, so then it's tied, and then but agree that it is something. Mm-hmm. But I do think that there is something about this team that it's almost like they find their footing and then they take off, and I don't want them to lose that. I think this weekend is huge. Games like this where Atlanta teetering.
You read my mind.
I mean, I think it's something this weekend. Like, I think it is important and imperative to get out on the board, get off to an early lead, and just kind of suck that will out of the Falcons because this team, they're teetering on those playoff chances, and, that vacation.
Teetering?
Yeah. You're right.
Teetering?
You're right. I mean, like the Panthers said last week when, in the locker room after they beat the Falcons, what they said is they're going on vacation too. I mean, that's essentially what the reality is almost setting in. So getting to them early and just go ahead and let them book that trip to Cabo or wherever they're going. Let's get them get that book trip or that trip booked at halftime for the Falcons.
Yeah, I mean, they've lost back-to-back games inside their division 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
They were in a great spot. But then they lost back-to-back games to Tampa, and then the inexplicable one was last week. I know it was horrible conditions, and that's neither here nor there. But a really bad loss, maybe one of the worst losses in franchise history, losing 9-7 to the Carolina Panthers in a game where you don't even give up a touchdown on defense. Their defense has been really good. We'll talk about that coming up in just a second. But right now they've got an 11% chance of making the playoffs. They're switching quarterbacks. You just have to get on them early. Yeah. Send a message, right? It's Christmas Eve. I mean, they're going to have a great Christmas, but winning against the Colts should not be part of it.
No,
all right?
No.
So I know they've got playmakers and they've got a great defense, and they still have plenty to make this a game. In fact, I highly anticipate that it will because that's the NFL, right? There's just parity. All these games come down to the last 4 minutes, and they're all seemingly one-score games. In fact, their last 5 losses, Atlanta's last 5 losses have been by 5 points or less. But listen, it's a team right now that's on the brink. Arthur Smith is certainly on the hot seat down there. So you just can't give a bad football team hope. So get off to a good start and give them plenty of reasons to think about. Let's just go home and drink some eggnog, open up some presents, sit by the fire, and let's have a good Christmas from here on out.
Make them pack it in early.
There you go.
If you jump on them early, they'll pack it in early eventually because they say, you know what, we lose this game, we're pretty much done. Right. It's over with. So, and you get on them early, defeat them mentally.
Exactly.
More likely, they're probably going to pack it in. They're professionals. They probably shouldn't pack it in, but sometimes it's just human nature that, you know what, when you're down that much and you're trying to come back and you know that
if you're down 14-0 middle of the second quarter.
Yeah, and then you know that, things.
Human nature kind of kicks in.
And things are not going your way and it's snowballing against you and eventually it's 21-0, then you know what, they're like, probably, hey, you know what, this is going to be a tough uphill battle to get back in this game. Let's like you said, I'm gonna call my wife after the game's over, see if we can make some reservations to go on vacation.
Yeah, Eddie Merlot's. Let's see if we can get in. Sit at the bar. All right, let's go something or nothing on special teams. Matt Gay's missed 4 kicks the last 2 weeks, including an extra point. And now he's dealing with a right hip injury we found out this week. And the Colts, they don't have a kicker on their practice squad. They don't have anybody else that can efficiently kick the ball like obviously Matt Gay can, and we haven't seen any moves this week. So it tells you that the injury must be minor at this point. But last week he was 3 for 5 on field goals. It was his first game with 2 missed field goals since the 2019 season when he was a rookie with Tampa Bay. But he's been really good up until the last couple of weeks, obviously. I mean, through the first 12, he converted 23 of 27 field goals, all 29 of his PATs, and missed just 2 kicks of less than 40 yards. And obviously it's not been that the last couple of games. Gay is 10 of his past 15 on field goals, and he's got at least 1 miss in 4 of the Colts' past 5 games. Elsewhere on special teams, it's been uneven the last 2 games as well. I mean, against the Bengals and the Steelers, you had missed kicks, you had muffed punts, you allowed some long returns on kickoffs, and you also had a punt blocked. Casey Vallier. So the special teams the last 2 weeks here, a little bit of a question mark. Is it something or nothing?
It's definitely something. It's one of those things that I would say prior to what we saw in Cincinnati. I think if we want to go back that far, special teams was an area you said, you know what? They've been pretty solid all year, and we've had some I'm not worried about Matt Gay. Matt Gay is a guy that he's an experienced kicker. I think he's just – you go through funks. You know, I'm a golfer, and I'll have some funks, if you will. I'm a former baseball player. I'd go through some slumps when I'm hitting. I think Matt Gay's just dealing with a little bit of a slump. He's going to get back into it. I'm not worried about that. There's just a couple other things, special teams wise, that make me go with the something. I think you talk about the blocked punt last week. That's something we just haven't seen out of Rigo in a while. I mean, since 2020 was the last time he had a punt blocked, and it's just something we just don't typically see. So that was a little bit of a chink in the armor, if you will. We saw the suspensions of Isaiah McKenzie and Tony Brown, who are core special teams guys. So you're going to have some other guys that need to step up.
Right.
Isaiah had the muff punt, so you can trip. Yeah. So there is a lot that goes into what's gone on special teams the last handful of weeks. So I think it is something, but this is a group that has, you know, a lot of really good players on it. So I think they're going to be able to rebound, but it's definitely something to look at and keep an eye on as we move forward.
And I thought Josh Downs did a pretty good job.
Yeah, agreed.
All things considered last week.
Yeah, he did a good job, I thought, when you talk about returning punts back there. And one of the key things to me when returning punts is one of the first things to do, of course, is feeling the ball. That's the most important thing. Feeling it, make sure you control it. Then after that, if you can get a first down, I mean, 10 yards, average 10 yards at least on your punt returns, that's something very positive. That's what you want to do, and that's what Josh did last week. So he averaged over 10 yards on his returns on average. So I think that's very important, and I think it is something. I think it is something myself. I'm not worried like you, Casey. I'm not worried about Matt Gay in the sense of that missing the kicks and things like that. I am concerned about the hip, though.
Yes, I agree with that.
I'm concerned about the hip. Now that part is something that I think I know I'm concerned about that. Hopefully it's nothing serious. Hopefully it's just one of those things. It's just a blip that he'll be okay.
Right.
Treatment, and he'll be good to go on game day. But as far as the muff punts, as far as the block punts, things like that, that's something they need to clean up because as you know, special teams is a big part of any game.
3 games left,
yes,
trying to make the playoffs.
Exactly.
Yeah. Crowded race. I mean, the margin of error. Well, let's go.
Yes, it's a big part of the game.
Right.
So they need to clean those areas up. They clean those areas up, I'm fine with everything else in regards to the special teams.
And there's a part of me that says with Josh Downs, getting him the football, that's what you want to do. He's a playmaker. So giving him other opportunities to change a game, I do like that. Isaiah McKenzie's the same way. I mean, he is lightning in a bottle. He's a guy that can, he can turn one on real quick. I mean, we saw that in Germany. I mean, that was such a huge play we saw. So I think Josh Downs has that similar thing. So giving him more opportunities, you always want to see the football in one's hands. So I'm anxious to see if this is one way to he's kind of had maybe not that rookie wall, but we've seen his production dip a little bit. So this is just one more way to get him the football.
Yeah,
so.
Casey Vallier's golf game and Matt Gay having the shanks.
Hey, Matt Gay, you're still my kicker on fantasy, so I'm good with it.
You're saying Matt Gay has a case of the chili peppers. Is that it?
Oh, my goodness.
Is that he's at the driving range and he's just got the chili peppers like in tin cup.
Right, exactly.
You know, a little Kevin Costner reference right there. If you know, you know. If you like the late 90s movies, just go ahead and watch Tin Cup. It's a classic, right? It is money.
Just keep going.
It is a classic.
All right, that was Something or Nothing with Bill Brooks, Casey Vallier. I'm Matt Taylor. A guy, again, that was definitely something last week. That was Trey Sermon. 17 carries, 88 yards, came in off the bench and just balled out. He and Tyler Goodson took over the running back duties for the injured Zach Moss last week, and the Colts offense didn't miss a beat. They ran for 170 yards against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Trey Sermon, first year with the Indianapolis Colts. He's a really good dude, and he joined us earlier today on the official Colts podcast. As promised, here in studio, joining us today, Colts running back Trey Sermon, who balled out last Saturday in the Colts' big win against the Pittsburgh Steelers to the tune of 88 yards on 17 carries, over 5 yards per clip. Trey, congratulations on that huge performance out of you, man. Thanks for joining us here on the podcast. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm just glad to be here.
Absolutely. So I want to talk about just the mindset before we get into anything else. You know, you see your teammate Zach Moss. You see him get banged up, right? You see him leave the game with that forearm injury. What is the balance internally with you of showing concern and compassion for your teammate, Zach Moss? He's a great guy, great player, and being there for him versus at the same time, in the back of your mind, it's like, it's go time. Like, let's bleep and go for you. How do you balance all of that in a short amount of time?
It's really all about the mentality. Again, I definitely had to, show concern because, Zach is a good friend of mine as well, a great teammate.
Right.
So, just checking in with him, see how he was doing. But at the same time, I know it's time to go to work. It's an opportunity to help this team win, and that's really all it took.
Now you talk about it's a mentality. Now we know that you don't get a lot of reps in practice, especially with the ones and things like that. So going into a game, knowing that you might have the opportunity to play, it only takes one play for you to get the opportunity to play. What's your mindset going into the game, and what are some of the things you do specifically during the week of practice to prepare yourself for that moment?
Really, it's all in the preparation.
Yeah.
I prepare like I'm starting every week. And that's just kind of always been my mentality. Again, throughout my career, I've always shared the backfield. So, I always prepare like I'm about to start. Like I'm the number one guy. So, my mantra is, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And really just going out there, being able to really execute at a high level. I know that in this league, again, all it takes is that one play. So, again, that just goes back to the preparation.
What goes into that preparation? I mean, is it extra film study? Is it maybe working with another quarterback to get the timing down on certain plays? Is it running routes on air with some quarterbacks or with DB? So what does that preparation look like?
For me, really, it's a lot of film study.
Okay.
Earlier in the week, I always start off with, watching at least maybe like 2 to 3 games on our opponent, and then that's when after that I get into like the cut-ups as the week go on, explosive runs, a lot of the blitzes that the other team do, just so I'm ready for everything. And then as far as like just catching the ball, always on the jugs after practice, running routes, catching the ball from Sam. Just all of that, really, just so I know once I get my opportunity, I take advantage of it.
Okay. How hard is that to do? How hard is it to take, as Bill said, you're not getting a ton of run with the first-team offense, right? Not when you have a healthy Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss has been here, each of the last 2 years. How hard is that to do to get the mental reps and to still be in a position to play well, even though you didn't get the physical reps with the guys in that huddle, and then to go out there on Saturday like you did, and the offense and yourself, you guys didn't miss a beat?
It is pretty tough, but you just have to be patient. Again, you never know when your number's going to be called, and it's tough. I mean, from when I first got here, I played a little bit. All the guys were healthy and they were rolling. So again, I had to prepare like I was still the number one guy, and I mean that's really all it is. It definitely is hard, but you just have to stay focused and stay locked in, and just understanding the scheme of what we're doing goes back to the film study. Yeah, it allows you to play fast when you're out there because you know what to expect.
What was Saturday night like for you? What was it like for Tyler? You guys both come in. You combined for over 100 yards. As I said, you both were over 5 yards per carry. I mean, just how much fun and how much adrenaline did you guys get from both of your performances?
Man, it was great. Just it was a good feeling just to get out there, get in the rhythm. I was having towards the end of the game, I was having flashbacks of when I was at Ohio State and playing in Lucas Oil.
Yeah, that's right.
Just going back to just getting in that rhythm, getting in the flow. And, I play with a lot of passion and excitement. And I felt like, it was on full display.
Had you ever been a part of a drive where you run it 13 straight times?
No.
Maybe back in like Pee Wee or, like back in those early youth football days in Marietta, Georgia, by the way.
Yes,
right?
sir. Probably in high school. We ran the ball a lot. But, it was – I had to catch my wind because, again, I know moving the chains, Shane was going to call another run play. So
here we go again.
Just had to be ready.
Yeah.
Now, you talk about that running back room with JT and Zach and those guys in the room. What are some of the things that you've learned from JT and Zach while being in that room that you take and put into your game as far as a running back when you get out there on the football field?
Some things that I picked up from those guys is just really just patience and timing. You know, you have to really let things develop. And, you know, a lot of running backs, they understand that, but it's another thing really getting a feel for the offensive line. And, you know, with film study, you anticipate a lot of things, but the timing has to be perfect because in this league, the game is so fast, so that hole will open and close in a blink of an eye. So, I mean, that's definitely one thing that I picked up from those guys.
That's good.
What do you most enjoy about this offense in this situation? You know, you've been on 3 teams since 2021, started in San Francisco, last year in Philadelphia with Shane Steichen. Now you're back with him in this offense in a different situation with the Colts. What is it about this spot in this locker room that kind of seems to fit you, so to speak?
Really just the determination of this team. You know, I feel like I fit well because, you know, I'm a fighter, and no matter what happens, whatever circumstances, I'm going to battle. And that's really just the mantra of this team, you know, find a way to win. So no matter what the odds are like or, you know, the situation it is, we're going to keep clawing and keep fighting.
And now you talk about you fit into this locker room, which is a good thing. And another person that you've played with, I think fits in this locker room well is Gardner Minshew. What makes Gardner so special that the guys just like to gravitate towards Gardner?
Gardner, he's a great guy, man, and you know I feel like he really stepped up, and you know he's always been a great teammate, but you know just that leader to get everybody going, get everybody focused on their preparation, get everybody locked in when it's go time.
I mean, he seems like a guy that's just easy to root for too. You know what I mean? Like he's kind of he's the everyman's quarterback, if you will. You know, a lot of people can identify with him because of the trials and tribulations that he's had to endure to get to this point, and he's just going to scratch and claw like the rest of this offense, like the rest of the team, to get these victories here late in the season. As I said, you're from Marietta, Georgia, right? So you grew up about 30 minutes away from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in downtown Atlanta. How excited are you to go back home, especially around the holidays, to see a lot of friends and family? I'm sure that you're going to have a lot of people hitting you up for tickets this weekend, right?
Yes, sir. You know, it's going to be great. You know, I haven't played in that stadium. I've been there a bunch of times, but, you know, it's going to be exciting just to, be able to play in front of all my friends and family. Yeah.
Now, forgive my ignorance on the Georgia high school football system. You went to Sprayberry High School, and then certainly too, Tyler Goodson and Josh Downs were teammates at a nearby high school. I can't remember that name of the high school off the top of my head, but did you guys play each other in high school?
We didn't.
Okay.
They went to North Gwinnett.
Yes, that's right, North Gwinnett. That's right.
It was probably about like 40 minutes away from us, but we never played them.
And you told me off the air that you did not grow up a Falcons fan.
No, I did
How did that happen? Who did you root for growing up then?
I mainly just had favorite players.
Yeah.
I didn't have a favorite team.
That's how it goes these days, right? That's all they market, the individual player, right?
Definitely. Just looking at the players and not the team. Now, this is the second time you've been with Shane. You're with Shane in Philadelphia. I'm not saying what's different, but how is Shane now? Of course, he's a head coach, not just a coordinator. How is Shane now compared to what he was when he was at Philly as a coordinator?
Well, obviously, once he got into that role, I mean, pretty much what carried over is how he relates to guys. He has to relate to the defense more. I mean, he's a head coach now, so I feel like the same way he would kind of talk to us, get us going as a coordinator. Now he just has to do it as a head coach to the defense as well. So nothing really has changed. I love playing for Shane. He's a great guy, great coach, and he knows how to really get everybody going. I mean, he usually has a quote before the game just to really help you get your mind right, just train your mind, just to prepare for Sundays.
One of those things that I like about Shane is the intensity that he has as far as when he approached the games. Is that intensity the same as it was when he was in Philly now as a head coach?
No doubt. I mean, his intensity was the exact same. And, a lot of guys, they love that because, he truly does care for this team. And, he wants us to all succeed. And, I feel like Shane, he's a great head coach.
That's Trey Sermon with us. Final couple of things. So gracious with your time. You talk about how you watch a lot of film. Mm-hmm. You've no doubt seen this Falcons defense.
Yep.
Really good in a lot of key categories like points and red zone and third down. What is it about their defense that's going to present a really good challenge for you guys on Sunday?
Again, they have great players. They have a great D-line, a great secondary as well. I feel like we just have to, be efficient in the run game and, make those tough catches, being able to pick up blitzes. I feel like if we stay on point with that, then we'll be successful.
How much do you like doing the dirty work? I mean, you obviously, again, coming in and being thrust into that situation, you have to overcome, again, not getting a whole lot of work and practice. But you just talked about it, having to pick up guys on blitz pickup, and you're protecting in the passing game. How much do you enjoy that part of the game, doing all the stuff that's not going to show up in the box score?
I enjoy it a lot because I know it'll be a factor to, the team having success. I mean, again, if I, know what's in front of me, pick up the right blitz, Gardner's able to get the ball off. And, that it's part of my job. And again, I love it because, I'm in a position where I can help this team win.
Yep. Lastly, how much fun is this? I mean, you guys got 3 games left. I mean, you're 8-6. Everything's in front of you, including winning the division, right? The AFC South is still up for grabs. I mean, just how much fun are you guys having? How much fun is this for you personally, being in this situation to make the postseason here?
It's fun, man. I enjoy being here. It's definitely a blessing, and all the guys are excited. I mean, again, everything's in front of us. We just have to go get it.
Yep.
And that's really all you can ask for is a chance, and we have that. So everybody's excited. I'm excited, and just looking forward to Sunday.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Trying to get another Christmas present under the tree with a win in Atlanta. That's Trey Sermon. Trey, congratulations again on a fantastic game last Saturday. Keep it going with 3 games to go. Really appreciate your time.
And,
yes, sir.
And happy holidays.
Yeah,
Same
absolutely.
to you.
Definitely.
Trey Sermon right there, the pride of Oklahoma and Ohio State. Now with the Indianapolis Colts again, 88 yards, 17 carries in the big win last Saturday against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, our thanks to Trey Sermon for joining us on the official Colts podcast. We're back here again. Casey Vallier is over there, back in Trey's spot. Bill Brooks, I'm Matt Taylor, wrapping it up here. Let's talk about these Falcons a little bit more in depth. I want to hit the pause button on the Falcons, and the metaphorical pause button, because there are certain things about this 6-8 club, as we said, that give you pause. This is not going to be a layup game for the Colts, despite the fact that you're talking about an under 500 team, a team that's lost 2 in a row inside their own division, 5 of their last 7. Arthur Smith, as we said, he's on the hot seat. They're changing quarterbacks to Taylor Heineke. They haven't been able to utilize some of their playmakers in Kyle Pitts and Drake London and Bijan Robinson. As we said, they're in danger of missing the playoffs for the 6th straight year, in danger of, if they lose on Sunday, they'll be guaranteed their 6th straight losing season in Atlanta. Arthur Blank is one of the great owners in this league, and he's really kind of frustrated with how things are going. But despite all of that, they can give you problems, and the Colts know that. So, Bill, I'll start first for you. Get out. Remember the old DVD players? You still have a DVD player?
I don't have it, but I remember.
Hit the pause button.
You know that.
Freeze frame.
Yeah.
Freeze it right there. Go to the next chapter.
Yep.
So put the pause button right there for us here. What gives you pause, the most pause, about this Falcons team as it relates to the Colts matchup on Sunday?
What gives me the most pause?
Oh, Billy! Oh, well done, Billy.
What gives me the What gives me the most pause?
We're playing the floor is lava here. What are we doing?
What gives me the most pause about this Falcons team is their defense. Their defense. They have a good defense. They play well. They're in a lot of categories. They're in the top 10 in regards to defense, like in the red zone, third down. Things like that. So
they're top 10 in points, passing yards, total yards, first downs allowed, third down defense, 3-and-out rate, punts forced, red zone, and fourth quarter defense. Yes. This is very formidable, to your point.
So those are things that gives me pause. And if the Colts can't have a good red zone showing from the offensive standpoint, a good showing on third down, which is going to be very important to keep the ball moving and getting down the field. Those things give me pause. So this team, you look at their record and everything, and 6-8, and people might think, oh, they're not playing well, whatever. They have playmakers on that team, and they have a defense that's just been playing lights out for the most part. And they've been carrying the team for the most part this season. So going against their defense and making sure the Colts are efficient, especially on third down and red zone, are the things that I'm looking forward to the Colts to do. But the Falcons' defense gives me pause.
Great defense. Their Achilles heel, though, has been having to hold the weight of the team on their shoulders. They have crumbled in crunch time in fourth quarters, right? In their last 4 losses, Atlanta was leading or tied with a minute to go, and each time the Falcons gave up a long drive, all covering at least 70 yards, to give up the touchdown or field goal that cost them the game.
Yeah.
So they do have a little bit of a chink in their armor, as you said.
So I was going to go with what Bill said, but I'm going to flip it to the offensive side, and I'm going to go Taylor Heineke.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason we saw Heineke come in here last year as a member with Washington, and they did enough. I wouldn't say it was a great game, but they did enough to get a win. And there's something about, late in the season,
Nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose.
Nothing to
For
lose.
Taylor Heineke, he's fighting for his NFL life.
Yes.
He is looking to get, all right, I'm going to show that I can be there to be, that key backup or fight for a starting job. He's done a decent job in Atlanta to this point, but Desmond Ridder has kind of been the guy they're like, we want to see if this is the guy for the future. They've now benched him for the second time, so I think ultimately
The answer is
no.
Right.
So for Taylor Heineke, he is trying to say, hey, you can keep me here, and next year I can be your guy. So that a little bit scares me because, Matt, you talked about the weapons they have offensively, whether that's Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Drake London. Those 3 guys right there, there's a reason they were top 10 picks in the last 3 NFL drafts in the first rounds. I mean, these are great playmakers offensively. They are game changers. So those 3 guys give you a little bit of pause for sure. But I say Taylor Heineke coming in with this nothing-to-lose mentality. That's kind of where I am.
And what did he have on the other day in his press conference?
Oh, yeah. So he
I mean, he's just kind of a free spirit dude.
I love the free.
He's just letting it flow,
So
right?
he came out for his, when they announced he's the starter, he had a sweatshirt on of Busch Light. And they asked, what's with the Busch Light sweatshirt? And I guess last year, after a Commanders win, he got fined for drinking Busch Light on the plane. So Busch Light sent him a whole bunch of merchandise. So he was just giving a pub to Busch Light.
Appreciate you, bro.
That's so good.
And that's his mentality right now.
That's
I
it.
love this quote. He's got a free spirit, like you said, but this quote says, I just want to have fun out there, especially when stuff's going bad. Make sure that people realize it's just a game. It's supposed to be fun. I know it's your job, but this game is meant to be fun. I think that kind of radiates towards people. Get the stress off. Let's just go out there, play, have fun, and play loose.
There you go.
I mean, last year, like you said, he came into Lucas Oil Stadium with a pretty mediocre Commander team.
Yes, he
and
did.
they got the job done. He led a fourth quarter game-winning drive. They scored with under a minute to go. The Colts lost that game 17-16. Heineke in that game had 74% completion percentage and almost 300 yards.
Yeah.
So this dude can play, especially when the offense is going to be tailored to what he does well.
He has no mental restrictions.
Yeah.
He's just going to go out there and play. Play loose, play free, and if he can communicate that to the rest of the guys on the offense, you know what? You need to watch out for that. You need to watch out for those guys that, hey, look, they're just playing, like you say, he's playing for his NFL career because he wants to either stay there or go somewhere else. There's 31 other teams out there in the National Football League that he could go to. So this is his resume, part of his resume. This game right now, not right now, but on Sunday, is part of his resume.
Can you hit the pause button again?
What
That's some deceleration right there, Bill. That's some deceleration.
Have you done any acting in your life? Man, it's pretty good, Billy.
No acting. If I decelerate that, if I was running, I might blow out an Achilles or something, blow out an ACL.
I'm glad you didn't, man. I'm glad that did not hit the pause button on your career. Otherwise, you would not be in the Ring of Honor and the true GOAT that you are. All right, let's talk about real quick Santa's Colts wish list here. What is the likelihood of all of these things happening this weekend under the Colts football chimney to close out here? We got the Bengals at the Steelers, Saturday afternoon game. The Colts need the Steelers to win that football game because the Bengals have the head-to-head tiebreaker over the Colts. Bills at Chargers, Saturday night game. Colts need the Chargers to win that game to give the Bills another loss. The Bills are 8-6, just like the Colts. Browns at Texans, Sunday afternoon. The Colts need the Browns to win that football game. Obviously, give the Texans another loss. C.J. Stroud likely out at quarterback. Another week dealing with a concussion. Jags at Buccaneers, Sunday afternoon. The Colts obviously need the Bucs to win that game. If the Colts win, Jags lose, you're talking about first place in the AFC South, Bill Brooks.
Oh, that would be
What is
nice.
the likelihood of all of that happening?
You know what? I would love for all that to happen for the Colts, but I just don't know because you look at the Bengals Steelers. Steelers are going with Rudolph, new quarterback.
Hey, it's Christmas time in Rudolph. That's a win right there.
That's
Come
true,
on
that's
now.
true.
He knows how to play.
Well, you got the Bills and Chargers without Herbert. You got the Browns and Texans more likely without C.J. Stroud. 3 of those teams don't have their starting quarterback. So to me, I think that's going to be something that's, it's going to be tough for those teams to overcome. So I think it'll be tough for those teams that we need to lose. But I do think the Buccaneers will beat the Jaguars since Trevor Lawrence more than likely will not play, still in concussion protocol. So I like that. I like that chance for the Colts, and that would hopefully help the Colts get in the first place.
You want this hot take?
Yeah.
Chargers beat the Bills.
Wow.
First game with an interim head coach.
Wow.
Rick Venturi always says never underestimate the power of the first game of an interim head coach.
Yeah.
I would say this:
Yeah.
the Bills.
I agree, but the Bills
are hot right now.
Bills are hot. They're due, though. They got to fly across the country.
Agreed.
I'm saying the Chargers pull that off.
Warm weather.
Upset off.
So here's the way I
Indoors?
look at it. I think Saturday, 0 chance. I think both those games you need to happen do not happen, but I think all 3 on Sunday.
You're saying the Bengals beat the Steelers?
Yes. I think the Bengals beat the Steelers on Saturday. I know I said go Rudolph because it's Christmas time, but, Jamar Chase may not play, so that is a little bit of a chink in their armor.
When is Jake Browning going to turn into a pumpkin?
I agree with you, but I look at it, it's Mason Rudolph and Jake Browning. Pick the name. It doesn't matter.
I'm going with Browning.
And then with the Bills, I think Josh Allen's going to just go out and just do what Josh Allen does, and it's going to be a typical playoff-esque Bills-looking team with a big 20-point victory over Easton Stick and the Chargers.
Sounds like a bat.
I know, it does.
Can I borrow your Easton stick? You just hit a home run in the 3rd inning with it. Can I borrow that Easton stick?
But then I think the Browns and the Buccaneers both get wins on Sunday. If the Colts get a victory, I think you're looking at the Colts with a nice little comfort in that lead. You got the tiebreaker over Houston.
I'm shutting down the computer.
There you go.
We're done.
I'm right with it.
This is what I'm saying. None of it matters. None of it matters unless the Colts take
have to
care
win.
of their own business
exactly.
and get a big-time, nice little gift card, if you will, in their stocking on Christmas Eve, opening up some presents here. Trying to get to 9-6, trying to get to 3 games over 500 for the first time this season, and it all starts Christmas Eve at 1 o'clock in the ATL. With Bill Brooks, Casey Vallier, I'm Matt Taylor. Sherry, you are the best behind the scenes on the YouTube video feed. And thanks, everybody, again for joining us on the Colts Audio Network. Colts and Falcons this Sunday, and we will do it again next Thursday, breaking down Colts and Raiders. But a big one here in Week 16. We'll talk to you next week. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays, and thanks for dialing us up here on the official Colts podcast, brought to you by WynnBET. So long.